Hello, Crystal, the organisation queen from KCS. We are live today with Nicole, who is a business coach and mentor who also founded the Hot and Healthy Academy. So welcome, Nicole.
Thank you, Crystal. Welcome to my bedroom, everybody.
We had a bit of
it was the best place for this.
Tech issue going on and miscommunication at the best of times. Now, Nicole is joining us to chat about bootstrapping your systems as a business startup. So, Nick, why don't you give us a bit of an intro on who you are and why you would want to be talking about this?
Sure, absolutely. So I spent over 20 years in the corporate world and I worked across a number of different industry sectors. My last major role in a corporate space was head of human resources for an international bank. I had access to oodles of money and the best systems in the world to tackle all the sorts of things that are happening in our business, including growing really fast and then, managing financial crisis and having to downsize our people. So managing everything in our business, we had all the best systems and access to all the experts and all the money. So when I left that, I hit burnout in my corporate career, and I left and I retrained as a health coach. And then I started my own small business. This was over a decade ago. And created an international coaching practice focusing on, at that stage, the wellbeing sector, and then quickly grew into me coaching other coaches and then going, oh my goodness, there's an awful lot of people in the small business space who have no idea how to run a small business. I had learnt a lot. I personally had a lot of money available to me at the time. It was all my savings. And I like to learn by screwing things up. I'm not sure why. I'm sort of learning the fact that I would much rather now pay other experts and, fast track my learning through other people. But at the time I had a lot of available money to invest in my own learning. And so I did exactly that and spent all my money learning how to grow my business, how to do it fast, how to explode my business, how to bring it back small and simple. I learned about niching, I learned about social media marketing, et cetera, et cetera. So for me, it was a great way to learn and grow and become a great business coach. It's not a great way for someone who doesn't have access to that kind of resources to start a business. But part of that whole exploration was also, managing at the time my husband's expectations of, can't this be done cheaper? And so me finding also creative ways, not just for myself to save money or to try new things without investing more money, but also to advise my clients so that they wouldn't have to go through what I'd been through. And now, a decade later, that's what I specialise in. I specialise in helping small businesses, in particular women in small business, start, run and grow their small business without burning out. So bringing the best of all the worlds together. My corporate leadership development training, learning and development background with my small business experience and my wellbeing qualifications. So an interesting combination, hence, being a business and a wellbeing coach.
Yes. And it's great how it all aligns. I often get asked that question, how did you get there? I'm like, well, it's a bit convoluted, but it works.
Right. And oftentimes when you are looking for where you can be of service in the world through your business, it's looking at yourself. Looking at yourself and saying, well, what was it that I was looking for? What was my pain point? And where's my natural skill, talent, or interest? And how can I package that up into something that I can make money with? Make money helping other people is a great way to make money.
Yes, it is. So business startups, bootstrapping your systems. What do we want to go with? Clearing the clutter?
Absolutely, clear the clutter. Say that fast 3 times. Yeah. If you've been in business for a little while, now if you've been exploring business and you haven't quite started yet, this might not be as relevant. But if you've been in business for a couple of years, have a good look around and clear the clutter. So have a look at any systems that you might have been using that are now redundant, that you might not be getting the full functionality out of. Have a look at your subscriptions. A lot of money can be wasted on old subscriptions that you subscribed to because you're excited or someone recommended it or it seemed to make sense in your business at a time, but now it's no longer useful. It's like that, gorgeous pair of shoes you got sucked into buying in a sale and you've worn them a couple of times and they give you blisters and you stick them in the back of the closet and you don't look at them again for another 10 years. So what we're getting you to do is to go, let me just pull everything out and have a good look at everything. Where am I wasting money with systems that I don't need, that aren't suitable for my business, that I'm not getting full functionality out of? Maybe you're duplicated. Maybe you have two systems that do similar things, or there's a really good overlap. Maybe even one of those systems has evolved and developed over time and they've got more functionality for the same price and you could actually drop the other system. So sometimes this can be a little hard to do yourself, but one of the easiest ways to start is have a look at your bank statement. If you've not gotten organised in the back wardrobe of your business systems, get in there and pull it all out by having a look at your bank statements and go, oh, look, what's that $12 for? $12 over a year adds up to a lot. And if you've got 3, 4, 5 subscriptions you're not fully utilising, that's an awful lot of money going to waste in your business. And if you think about how much work and effort you need to do to get the clients or to sell products in order to make that money, it's going to make you think twice about, maybe I should actually find out what that $12 a month is for.
And one of the top reasons why businesses fail in the first 4 to 5 years is because they don't know their financial numbers. So, at least once a month, having a really good look at what is going out of my business that I could change or alter or put onto a cheaper plan because I don't necessarily need the size of that software and all those extra features.
Yeah, maybe your business has changed. Maybe it's grown. Maybe the business that you are subscribing to has changed. Maybe there's a great COVID special on. Also, have a look around at the end of the financial year. A lot of businesses are trying to up their cash flow before the end of the financial year, or they've got great deals for you to, join their new plan on the 1st of July. So have a look at those things. I have every Monday I've nicknamed Money Monday in my business, and that's when I sit down and do things I don't like to do. I mean, I love money, don't get me wrong, but looking at the nuts and bolts of money really kind of like I'd much rather go out and meditate and drink, some great coffee than sit there and go through an Excel spreadsheet of expenses. But if you don't do that, I could easily end up being just like another failed business. You've got to know your numbers. So for me, Money Monday is when I sit down and go, okay, bank statement. Okay, what am I not utilizing effectively in my business? Where could I be more efficient? What do I need more of, less of, differently? And that could be what I would say is point number 2, which is getting expert advice. So get expert advice is my number 2.
In case you didn't get that.
Yeah.
And what do you mean by that?
Well, way back in the day, like a decade ago, there was not people out there like you, Crystal. And I would have loved to have been able to have access to someone who gave small businesses the simple, practical, no fluff advice about how to get started without mortgaging your house. And how to, what you needed to implement in your business at what time and which bits are the most critical. So, and it can be something a little bit holistic, like if you're working with a creative like myself who's all over the place and attracts to the next shiny object, and I'm very good at attracting new leads, I'm rubbish at converting the leads, because what I do is I'm like, oh, hi, it's really nice to meet you. I can totally help you with that. Why don't we have, a meeting and a chat about that? And then I move them over here and then I move on to the next person. But I haven't completely finished taking care of this person yet. So for me, based on my personality and my style, for my energy to flow and for my business to grow, I needed to make sure I had a simple, quick, effective CRM. I did not need to spend a lot of money. It could have been as simple as an Excel spreadsheet with a few columns: name, address, mobile, telephone, where I met them, what they were interested in, and maybe something about if it's a product or an opportunity that wasn't going to be available for 6 months, putting that in a comment section, and then diarising and it could be as simple as a paper diarising to actually call that person up. So when you work with, a specialist advisor, someone who's been around for a while, they've made the mistakes or they've done the study or whatever it might be, they can save you money, save you angst, save your reputation, help your business grow, and make sure that, you're not pulling your hair out going, but I spent all this money on, let's say, a CRM, which wasn't necessary for me at this time, or an advisor can also see where you could potentially grow really fast and say, now is the time to spend a couple of $100 a month on that particular tool or system or process. Like, spend your time and money there, save your money over here.
Yeah. And I think the other thing also, it's something that we chatted about prior to jumping online, was that in the beginning, money's really tight and you want to be making sure that you're spending it in the best way possible. And a lot of people go, oh, I don't want to pay an advisor $500 or $1,000, whatever they happen to charge, especially if you're dealing with lawyers and you're trying to get contracts driven up. But if you take a step back and you go, okay, well, if I did that myself, how long would it take me? Do I actually have the expertise, skills, knowledge that I need to have whatever output it happens to be? And put a dollar figure around that time and those skills, because what you'll find is that something that might take you 10 hours to achieve will take an expert an hour. And so, if your hourly rate is $150 an hour, there's, I don't know, my maths isn't great today, in comparison to just, getting an expert on board for $500 and the job's done in an hour, and that frees 10 hours of your time up, where you can work on your business rather than trying to get all of those things done. So.
And it doesn't have to be you're paying like a business coach or an advisor or a specialist. When I say get expert advice, it could be listen to a small business startup podcast. Listen to the Hot and Healthy podcast. We talk about this sort of stuff all the time. The Hot and Healthy Academy, we designed that especially so that you could get expert advice for $47 a month. Read books, go to networking events, subscribe to webinar series that educate small business on how to run their businesses more effectively. There are TAFE courses. There are...
especially at the moment, there's a company called Go One who, through the government, I don't know if it's the Australian government or the Queensland government, I think it's the Queensland government, have basically provided every small business owner access to Go One, and it's got literally thousands of courses on it that you now have access to for free. So, why not jump on to a resource like that?
The only warning I would say there is if you're a passionate small business owner and you're starting up, you can get overwhelmed with choice, which is another reason to spend a little bit of money on expert advice. So both you and I are advisors through the Australian Small Business Advisory Service. So they can get access to you. Instead of paying hundreds of dollars for a session, they pay $40 for a session. So there is so much out there. I guess it's also knowing where to get that sort of thing. So I'm sure they can go to your website or my website and find out, all the resources that are available at really affordable prices. But that would be one of my top tips. Don't be afraid to invest in expert advice. You don't need to pay thousands, and you can spend one session with a business advisor, get a roadmap on where you can take your business over what period of time, and looking at resources that you need to invest to get your business to that point within that period of time. And then go and do self-education, the podcasts, the webinars, the short courses, look at the government grants for business advisory services. Make sure you're spending time with other people on the same path as you, hopefully 2, 3, 4 steps ahead of where you are now and where you want to go, because you can pick their brains for free. Right? Yes. There are plenty of Facebook groups, quality Facebook groups, where you can ask the sort of questions that you want to get answers to for your small business. Go to the Hot and Healthy community for women in small business. There's a lot out there, and I think when we're looking at business advice or expert advice for our business, we can think of it as a cost. Oh, I don't have the money. But you need to look at it as an investment that will save you money down the track. Now, if you're going to be in small business, you're not going to be in small business for a week. You're going to be in small business for decades, particularly if it's something you're very passionate about. And so, you know, invest at the front smartly, sensibly, with, you know, people who've done what you want to do but are a few steps ahead of you.
And probably one thing that I see a lot, and you might as well, I have clients that come to me and, oh yeah, my accountant gave that to me, or oh yeah, my mate's in business and they told me that that system or process was really good, so I implemented that one. And I'm going, oh my God, you did what? Like, you know, definitely go out and get that information, but also make sure that it's a good fit for your business and it's actually going to solve your problems. Because just because, you know, Alice in Wonderland's ruby red shoes are, you know, fit her doesn't mean they're going to fit me. I like yellow ones rather than red ones, or, you know, whatever it happens to be.
Put back in the wardrobe again.
Yes, it's such a great analogy.
It is a good analogy.
And I see that a lot. Do you see that a lot?
I do. I see that a lot. And I've also experienced that in my own business. But, you know, there's a lot of things that you can do for free until, number one, you know, if you're going to stay in business. Because let's face it, there's an awful lot of people starting businesses and not surviving past the 1 year, 3 year and 5 year mark. So don't invest unnecessarily. You know, learn, grow with your business. Trial things out for free. There's a lot of programs that will give you 30 days free. And you know, you
a lot of programs that are free in general with basic features that are going to suit what you need right then and there in your business.
And that leads us to the third point, which is, you know, use stuff for free until you know that you're going to stay in business, that this is the right system for your business, that you've got the cash flow to be able to continue with that subscription, that you're going to use it. I'll give you a really simple example. Canva, which is free, but if you want to add your logo and your own fonts and things to it, you need to buy the professional one. Now, being the creative, shiny object chaser that I am, I could spend my entire life just on Canva doing pretty images and coming up with social media content and not actually doing anything particularly productive. So what I did was I stayed on the free version so I couldn't play, and then I outsourced it to a VA who's already paying for the professional subscription, gave her all my stuff, and she did it. So it saved me time, money, and stopped my shiny object syndrome. And so that's a clever tip as well. If you're outsourcing, do they already have that particular, let's say, online digital tool subscription? So why would you pay for it? And there's nothing wrong with borrowing other people's subscriptions. Like, if you, I don't mean steal it from them, and, you know, make sure it's okay from, you know, the terms and conditions of the person who's providing that product or service. But I've had friends say to me when I was in a tough spot as well, hey, I've got, you know, XYZ professional level, would you like to borrow it for a little while? Oh yeah, that'd be great. It'd really get me out of a jam. Or I could try it and then go, oh, it's not for me. I don't want to learn that. I'd rather outsource it. Or it's not really going to fit my business at this time. Or, yeah, this is perfect. Let me go and buy the annual subscription, which is going to save me money.
Yes. Great.
I'm
we
sure
just solved all the world's problems.
We're done. Let's talk about, you know, how I could definitely go to Kmart or Sheridan and get some better sheets than what I've got there. Oh my gosh, these were given to me by a girlfriend as a gift for my 50th, so I shouldn't say anything. Mm-hmm. But it's a really good tip, and I think, you know, there's no, small business is hard, and startups can be both confusing, exhausting, time consuming, and financially quite challenging. So there should be no shame and no hesitation to ask a friend, what do you think of this process or procedure, this app, this tool? How did it suit your business? Bearing in mind what you said before, Crystal, is don't just take it from your mates down the pub or your friend over a cup of coffee that it worked for their business. Consider the relevance to where you're at in your business, what you want to be spending your time and money on in your business, Perhaps even look at their background skill in being able to adapt to that particular process or procedure in their business. I'm definitely not I can't do it for too long. I can do it when I need to. Highly structured and process-driven person. I'm good at doing roadmaps for my clients because we explore things very broadly and then I bring it back to a roadmap. But if I had to spend my life in roadmaps and, A to Z kind of processes, I wouldn't be around for very long. So you need to understand whether it's going to be a good fit for you. There are certain processes that are too regimented for me. I need more creativity. I need a certain amount of structure, but freedom. Workflows. I like the word flow rather than structure.
Yes. And so I guess, there are a lot of people in that creative mindset. What's your top tip for them? Because, implementing systems and processes into a business is very daunting. And, you read any of the books and you listen to all the podcasts and you've got to do this and you've got to do this and you've got to do this, but it's not necessarily the best thing for you and your business. So what is your top tip for those creative people who might struggle in that way?
Business coach, without a doubt. Get a coach, someone who's going to make you accountability for actually showing up, having delivered an outcome rather than talking about it, rather than coming up with another creative way of exploring the concept or a new version of your product or service. When you're working with, a business coach or any other type of coach, they're going to give you, okay, so this is the goal, this is the timeline. Now you need to show up and be made accountable for having taken action and getting an outcome. I do encourage people to interview business coaches and see if they're a good fit. Do they have the right background? Do you have a personality match? Can they challenge you without breaking you? Do they bring strengths that you don't have, perhaps maybe naturally? Do they, in some cases, have solutions for you so they can tell you what, services and procedures? Can they advise you of other quality advisors that you could use in your business as well? Have they been there, done that? Hugely important. So there's that empathy and that understanding around what it takes to bootstrap your startup so that it can be successful and move from startup to up and running.
Yep. And I think, business coaches are no different to having a sports coach growing up or a music coach growing up. Don't have one and then not get another one just because that one didn't work out. You're human, they're human. You're not going to connect with every single business coach, and that's okay.
Absolutely.
But I see a lot people get a business coach, and unfortunately there are a lot of people, no different to any industry, there are a lot of terrible hairdressers. There are a lot of terrible coaches. And so they go, oh no, it's not worth the money. I didn't get any value for it. And they don't ever go back to that option, which is really unfortunate because if, no different to getting sports coach, music coach, whatever you're into, they can bring out the best in you. They can provide a ridiculous amount of value for you and your business.
And don't be afraid to say, listen, this isn't quite the right fit for me, or I wanted to go more down this path. Do you have someone you can recommend? And a good coach isn't going to be offended by that, particularly if they've been around for a while. They'll know that there's a natural fit. The other thing is you can outgrow your business coach, particularly if you were in a startup and they specialize in startups and now you're in the up and running, you've been around a few years and maybe you're in the fast grow phase. That's a different kind of advice. The other thing is not all business coaches are suitable for all industries. So if you're in health and wellness, or you're a product, or you're a service, or you're doing international trade, or you're doing importing, or it's a professional service, you need to find a business coach who's also a good match for that.
Yeah, it's definitely a big one. I see a lot too, in that there are niched business coaches if you're opening a gym, there are business coaches about how to open a gym. If you're in e-commerce, there are coaches about setting up all your e-commerce store. And even, I've niched as well, being in systems and processes. There's so many pieces of software that any particular business in any industry can implement that I can't know them all, and I don't want to know them all. So, being able to niche and provide that very specific service as you said, by being a good coach, you also then align yourself with other coaches or other, systems consultants who niche in a very different area, so that I can just be like, you know what, I'm not the best person for you, go over there.
Absolutely. So, for example, even, in my area, I deal a lot with solopreneurs up to 3 employees. I deal a lot with the health and wellness professionals because I get them. I've been there, I've done that. I also deal with a lot of people who've left corporate or are finding it really difficult to go from being in an environment where you could call on the expert in marketing and sales and the branding and the legal teams, and suddenly you're all of that. So helping them make those transitions as well. So really, I really encourage you to find out, ask Crystal, ask me, you can send us messages and say, well, this is my challenge, or this is my business, or where I want to take my business in the time frame. Who do you recommend? And good coaches will generally do a good half an hour free conversation over the phone to figure out if there is a good match there for you. And if they don't do that, well, how are you going to be able to assess whether you should spend, a couple of $100 to $500 on a session with them?
Yeah.
What would be your top tip, Crystal?
For bootstrapping your systems? I find a lot, especially, a lot of people in business, 90s babies who, grew up at the start of technology, if you will, that are used to Microsoft Word and Excel, which, whilst they will get you to a point, technology has come so far, and there are so many free resources and software that can help you, for example, project management and task management software, Asana, Trello, Milanotti, there's so many, and they offer a free program. So, have a look at how much time it is taking you to upkeep your Microsoft Excel spreadsheet and your Word documents in comparison to if you were to go and implement a free project management software like Asana or Trello, because they will change your life. They do take a little bit of time to learn, but it's no different to learning to ride a bike, no different to learning to walk in heels. It takes time to learn new habits, but the time and money that it saves you is massive. So yeah, I think that would be my don't be afraid to step out of your comfy little bubble. I was actually at a female event last week on the Gold Coast, and one of the speakers was talking all about the magic happens when you get outside of that bubble. Because if you're not outside of that bubble, you're never going to grow and stretch and figure things out and put solutions in place that you would never have even thought of, because in your little bubble, Excel does it for you. And it doesn't really do it for you.
If you are, it depends on your business and your industry. And like we're saying, we are talking about startups. So, if you do need an Excel spreadsheet because that's what you're familiar with, and, that's not where you need to be spending your time learning and growing, then, maybe it's on the marketing side. So get started, but don't take your eyes off your systems and your processes. And as you grow, continuously review those to see if they're growing with you and if they're going to, serve you as you grow.
Yeah, regular reviews is probably my next top tip, because if anyone's familiar with the book, The E-Myth, if you're doing what you should be in business and growing and evolving as your business grows and evolves, then your systems and processes are going to change as well. So, you want to be proactive about those things rather than reactive, because if, like me, I took my eye off like any plumber, the plumbers all have leaky taps at home. I took my eye off my systems and processes, and I had my staff coming to me in tears because we had outgrown our software and it was causing them so many problems that I just wasn't aware of. So regular reviews.
Exactly, which is costing you, efficiency and performance in your business, which is costing you money. So there is that time where it's like, oh, but I'm really comfortable with this system. Okay, all right. So how bad does the pain need to get before you'll actually let go and let grow? Because there is a time money and energy that goes into moving, let's say, from Excel spreadsheet to a quality customer relationship management system. It's not necessarily comfy, but you can outsource that. It doesn't have to be expensive. And always think, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years down the track, when my business is where I intend it to go, is this time, energy, money investment now going to be worth it or not? And the answer might be not. But I bet
and that's okay. Yeah.
Particularly if you're going from Excel to a decent CRM. You and I were also talking about something as simple as looking at going for the free version of Zoom or the free version of StreamYard, and then upgrade, or Canva, and then upgrading to the professional version.
Yeah. So I've been in business 5 years now, and I've literally only last week gone to the paid version of Zoom because I was sick of having 40-minute conversations with clients, 2 or more clients on the call at once, and going, sorry guys, can you just click that link again because we've run out of time.
Which doesn't look professional. So you also have to think about, you have to think about brand reputation. Obviously I'm sitting in my bedroom, so brand reputation.
Miscommunication.
I'm just going to say COVID and moving house. We'll go with that. And have a look at whether, you think about the bigger picture of your business and the reputation of your brand, the message that you're sending out to your clients, maybe it's your team and your staff, and go, is this system actually saying that I'm a professional? Is the system saying I know what I'm doing? And it may be that you scrimp in this area on this process or system, but you spend the money on, Zoom or Canva Pro. And it really, I'll go back to what I said sort of early on, is having a look at Money Monday and using that. It might only take you 10 minutes to go through your bank statement and go, hang on a minute, why have I got MailChimp when I'm using, MailChimp subscription or Dropbox? And I actually had one of my family members, my nephew, was super into all this sort of stuff, and I said to him, I'm sure I'm wasting money here somewhere. And he went through and he looked at my subscriptions, and then he went to the back end of my Google Plus and my Dropbox this, and he went, you've got 3 members on this, which is costing you an extra $20 a month. And I added that up and went, well, that's a lot of money every year that I don't need, because that team member isn't part of my team anymore. So that can add up to hundreds, if not thousands. And if you extrapolate that over a few years in business, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is. It makes a big difference too. So, Nicole, thank you so much for joining us for just over 30 minutes. We appreciate your time and your expertise. And for anyone who watches this after the fact, we will put any of the links that we talked about, all the programs that we talked about, into the comments. And this will also be a recording on LinkedIn, the KCS LinkedIn page. Are you going to put the recording up?
Yes, it'll be. The recording of this, we'll put it in the Hot and Healthy community for women in small business. We'll also put it on our Hot and Healthy Academy page as well, so it's accessible to as many people as possible.
It'll be around, so you can watch it after the fact if you've got screaming kids in the background, or school pickup, or whatever's going on for you at the moment.
And if anybody out there has got a brand that does really sort of like positive affirmation pillowcases, feel free to throw me one. Happy.
Thanks, Nicole. Thanks, everyone.